Good before noon, everyone, on our behalf. My name is Mihkel Tammo, and here today I'm representing Tartu University. I'm head of entrepreneurship and head of tech transfer there. We are going to continue on this topic of deep tech that you just heard about at the previous presentation. So a few introductory ideas from me before we move to this panel discussion. So you can read the headline, It's Time to Deep Tech. And when we think about deep tech, hard tech, science-enabled entrepreneurship, then those topics have been around for decades. But I think the fact that we are discussing this way of doing entrepreneurship here today shows that this has really exploded now in recent years. And today in this panel we will cover what Hanno already mentioned, Vision for Estonia. We have this unique opportunity to use those people from different countries to kind of advise us a bit, and we will mostly be speaking about regionality, which we consider to be a really important aspect of achieving success in deep tech. I want to compliment organizers for arranging such a cool panel. I think often panel discussions can turn into echo chambers, but this won't be a case today because we have so many different stakeholders, different geographies, and unique perspectives. So set your expectations high. Just to kick it off now, then I believe that people, having seen your kind of position and organizations, have some sort of a map of who you are. So maybe you can give like a brief kind of introduction about you, and maybe to add one interesting fact about you on top of that position you're holding.
Okay.
So please, let's begin.
Okay, thank you. Hi everyone, it's great to be here. I'm Katarina Brud and I head up Mobile X Lab. So it's an innovation hub within the automotive and transportation industry in Sweden. It was founded by the industry players in Sweden within the sector. It's hosted by Lindholmen Science Park, which makes a not-for-profit, and we are looking for the best startups and scale-ups around the world who wants to collaborate with our partners. Volvo Group, Sensact, Seeker Technology, Magna, Polestar and Ericsson, so that's what we do. And great fun to be here, it's the first time. And a fun fact, I won't tell you the whole story, but I got lost in the White House.
Thank you. Please, Clara.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Clara, and I'm from Singapore. With a company I've co-founded with my partner, who is Dutch, is the Singapore Deep Tech Alliance. We are a venture builder backed by Enterprise Singapore to build and invest in advanced manufacturing and healthcare startups. Fun fact about myself, outside of my day job, I have also co-founded a digital mental health startup. Thanks.
Thank you. Applause.
Good.
Let's continue.
Hi everyone, I'm Matti, founding partner at Nordic Science Investments. We work closely with the university tech transfer offices. We want to be the first investor there in the sort of complex cases which have a lot of promise, but maybe they are not quite ready yet from the traditional VC investor point of view. Then we do a lot of follow-on investments afterwards. Fun fact about myself is that my first proper job was coming from a flat country like Finland. I was a mountaineering instructor in Lesotho, which is a tiny country inside South Africa.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Eva. You can see that my position is head, but I brought the rest of my body as well. So heading a governmental initiative, Startup Estonia, it's a long-term initiative, so with long-term goals into the future. It's run by Enterprise Estonia, so really happy to be here. The fun fact maybe is a bit similar to you, but I went on a hiking trip, which I didn't read carefully before getting there, and I was prepared for going walks on a Sunday with a dog, and I ended up walking 120 kilometers and ascending 5 kilometers, so that's maybe a fun thing. I'm recovering.
Yeah. Thank you. I really believe that human-to-human engagement starts with stories, so thanks for expressing. I actually have one more warm-up question. And this is already related to the topic and not that personal. if we speak about deep tech, it's like a very diverse term. It integrates many different categories of doing a business. So what is the most exciting category of deep tech for you right now, and what is the one you are kind of frustrated with, or you would like to move faster? So there's like one more putting on the spot question for you. Who wants to start?
I can start.
Yep.
So I think the most exciting thing is sustainable materials. There's so much we can do there, and I've seen some awesome startups and deep tech startups already in that field. I mean, deep tech can solve our most complex challenges in the world. So I'm really excited about that. The most complex one or challenge one, quantum computing. I would say there's lots of challenges, but once we solve issues and get through there, there's huge potential.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, sure.
So it's exciting that deep tech today is people are taking it more seriously. You know, countries around the world, there's more money plowing into deep tech from private capital, not just public. And the one thing that frustrates me is commercialization is very slow. And that kind of hinders private capital from being deployed in deep tech itself.
Nice.
Two-folded answer. In terms of the segments, all of them based on science are super interesting, but I think one, to take a particular example, material science is related to semiconductors at the moment, thinking about this region and about our industrial capabilities and the dual use as well. That's very, very interesting, and something is coming up there. Generally speaking, what is needed is more research-based startups in absolute numbers and in proportional numbers. That's what we need.
My answer is a bit biased because in Startup Estonia we're just launching a 3-year health tech incubation acceleration program. So I have very much my cards on that, and I believe that we can achieve a lot in that in Estonia, against all odds, by the way. Maybe AI could be more fast. I'm talking about Estonia, so maybe that's a challenge.
Okay, thank you. A bit about housekeeping as well. You see somewhere this QR code that you are able to ask questions from the panelists. So if you want to use it, go ahead. I will try to integrate the questions later on. But now to the actual, let's say, agenda points of the panel. If you would have been part of this Estonian deep tech community, then over past 2 years, everyone knows about this big, hairy, audacious goal of achieving 500 deep techs by 2030. So this has been called out by our former Ministry of Entrepreneurship, who was here also today. So he's the one to blame. And this has been kind of like a bit provocative, but still like a vision. So my question to you is, if we look to 5x amount of deep techs in 5 years, which is kind of a crazy goal, how to achieve it? And I would like to kind of not ground us with kind of practicalities. Let's imagine that you have just caught the golden fish and you can actually have 3 asks how you would 5x amount of 5 techs, deep techs. Then what would you wish from the goldfish? What would be the key for us to growing really fast the amount of deep techs here? And maybe Clara, since Singapore has 1,200 deep techs, and this Deep Tech Alliance was founded 8 years ago, then maybe you might start and give us insight. How were you able to grow this number of deep techs so fast?
Thanks. Yeah, so just wanted to clarify. So Singapore started its first innovation platform for deep tech 8 years ago. Our company wasn't founded at the time, so I'm not going to take the credit. But yeah, so Singapore, of course, so far in the past 8 years has created 1,200 deep tech startups. And deep tech companies are not like software companies. Facebook was built in 24 hours, but you can't do that with deep tech, and it requires a lot of capital. And so certain tools that we've been using include blended finance, so which includes not just public funding for R&D. We got to a stage where we have a lot of technologies from public funding, but most of these technologies were not commercialized. The government is not seeing any ROI from that. And of course, no companies are built successfully from that. And so we require a lot of industry support for go-to-market. And the corporates play a big part in bringing these solutions to market. Singapore being the hub for multinationals in the world, with decision makers in multinationals sitting in Singapore, we have also deployed cluster-based financing, financing for cluster-based infrastructure. We turned one of our islands with a $5 billion investment from the government to build it into a hub for energy and chemical manufacturing. As a result, today it's home to companies like Shell, ExxonMobil, and a lot of corporate startup collaborations take place on that island. So this is one example of the different blended financing tools we use. And of course, for deep tech companies, they need a lot of cash flow. So we activate the private sector, the banks, financial institutions, with cash flow financing and risk sharing with the government as well. So all these, of course, contribute to the development of deep tech ecosystem. We have today about 220 private accelerators and incubators for the tech industry, 400 VCs, and 1,400 family offices that we attracted to Singapore. But also, to be frank, we are a nation of 6 million people. We don't have a market in Singapore. The real market is in the region, where there is 667 million population. The largest market being Indonesia, fastest growing, and they have the market. Although we can say, deploy and build, say, energy infrastructure and all that, we still procure a lot of renewables from our neighbors, Indonesia and Malaysia, and that kind of benefits the entire region.
Thank you. What will be your ask for the goldfish? Yes.
I would love to have more people. So that everything begins with people, of course. And even if we have a really fantastic startup and scale-up visa program, we will never be able to cater that much. And even if we have the best visa scores in Europe, that will not be enough. So yeah, like you said, it's the same issue, a very small market. But even if we overcome the market issues, how do we build the startups? We need so much diverse knowledge and so much diverse experience that maybe the guy that I need lives in Canada. So what we actually need, coming to my passion project in this, is really to create a pan-Nordic Baltic sort of a powerhouse type of force, so that we see each other in the region and we know how to find each other's resources, to pull them together, but not only for us internally to kind of get on the same board, but to be visible as a force, as a place on the globe. So looking from afar, I'm sure nobody cares if you are from Vantaa or Porvoo or Tallinn or Stockholm. So I think we have a lot of resource that we haven't used here. So yeah, more people, and then more people will come.
Yeah, I'd like to pick up on your point about the geography here in this region. We are small countries. We need bigger unit sizes. We need a lot of cooperation. And I think, well, my perspective, having worked a lot with university tech transfer offices, is different from, I guess, many people here in the audience. But it's kind of a different setup. But even there, you can see that certain universities which have their practices more developed than the other ones, there's a sort of a little bit of wariness of sharing the best practices, even within a single country. And we have to get rid of that. We have to exchange ideas, exchange the best practices across this region. And one of the ways of doing that is actually doing really in the bottom up. We have great governments which are quite agile. And of course, the Estonian government being the prime example. You guys are far ahead in the game. But the structures need to come from the private side. We should go for the private legal structures. We should get the people and investors, for instance, who really know this field and who want to do something concrete. And then our governments, they can be drawn in because they do listen. But I think the initiation needs to come from us.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thanks.
And I would say it takes a village to foster a deep tech startup, and that's what we need. So the orchestration of the region we're in, the new Nordics as well, because looking at us, we all have different capabilities, and we need to work together to make this strong. Looking at academia, the Nordic Tech Valley, and so on, and also me representing large corporates that wants to collaborate with deep tech startups. And we have experts within different fields, and tapping into that, I mean, there could also be a more understanding of what the need of of new technology that is going to be developed for the potential customers as well. So that collaboration I would love to see, and I know the initiative is taken, so I would love to see that and collaborate more on that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very glad because the answers already kind of moved us or leaned us into the kind of regionality topic that we want to open up more. So recently from another conference here in Estonia, someone said that in future regions will compete, not countries, exactly confirming what you just said. So in that sense, maybe Clara, you could elaborate a bit more, since we will discuss this Nordic initiative, but to get even broader view into the topic, like what have been the Singapore's experience with this regionality, and could you elaborate even a bit more than you did before? What are the success stories you've achieved?
Yeah, I think we are mostly a work in progress, so not really that successful yet. But yeah, we have giant neighbors like Indonesia, and we do a lot of trade with them. But the ASEAN region is really the market for us. So regional collaboration is, or rather regional competition is not about a zero-sum game. It's more a positive sum one, in the sense that when multinationals come to Singapore, they set up, and the region flourishes. We import and export more with our neighbors. We attract more foreign investments into the region, and the competition is really about us getting a slice of that foreign investment pie. All of us getting a slice, and as the foreign investment pie grows, all of our slices grow. So that, I think, is the type of competition, for the region.
Okay, thank you. And even though there are some cultural differences, but definitely most of it applies here as well. So if we now move into this like a Nordic Deep Tech Valley topic, then a bit of a context, and I think you all briefly already mentioned those facts or ideas that in Europe we see that we are losing our competitive advantage in general, and the next EU strategy is about how to regain this advantage. So we see that we are losing to China in green tech, we are losing to US in defense tech. So these are kind of things we have noticed. And at the same time, we are talking in Europe about this fifth freedom. And the fifth freedom should be sort of knowledge to move, innovation to move, all the kind of things that you already touched upon. And if we look at Europe, we see that we are scattered, right? If you think of China, it's more monolithic. If you think of United States, kind of the same. In Europe, we have 450 million. And this Nordic part of it, Nordic countries, 20 million, Baltic countries, 5, it's 25 million, so about 5% of Europe, approximately. So to start off from that context, when we talk about this Nordic Deep Tech Valley, it seems logical, doesn't it? But I would like to start with Sweden and Finland. It is understandable why we want to do it. We are a tiny country, 1 million people. We have a lot to learn from your more mature societies, etc. But when you look at this Scandic Valley initiative, what do you see as potential benefits for your, let's say, countries or for you personally?
I would say it's untapped potential for us. So we've grown organically. We started 6 years ago, and we attracted over 1,000 startups from 50 countries around the world. 10% of those has joined us and collaborated with our partners, but none from Estonia yet. So this is untapped potential. And as I said, we've grown organically. And I think what's needed is us coming together as the new Nordic and collaborate with each other, as you mentioned, and with the ambitious goal of creating so many more deep tech startups. We want to be a part of that journey. And it takes this, initiative of someone orchestrating that, bringing us together, talking about our different capabilities. Hi, I have corporates here, I have venture capital, and I know who you need to talk to get connected to these deep tech initiatives. And there we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe before.
Right, from the Finnish perspective, certain things are being done very well. Like there is, for instance, there's good financing for the most promising research cases wanting to commercialize. That's before the spin-out phase, and those sort of tools shouldn't be taken away. That's, I think, one of the first things. Let's not break what's already working. The other thing is really just being sort of, rolling your sleeves and start doing it. We're collaborating with most Finnish universities at the moment. University of Tartu is a great example here. We're super excited about working more with them and reaching out to, actually in Sweden, Iceland, reaching out to the first ones in Latvia. And someone just needs to start doing it. It doesn't mean necessarily forming something official that now we have an alliance of something with a great title, but actually starting getting the inputs and at the same time building bridges. So to give an example, we have a great relationship with a Canadian material science investor on which I'm there on the board, and we are going to sort of start shipping sort of materials technology pocket ideas to them, because they have the North American dual use big defense clients with them. So let's build bridges like this from the, small private entities can do it, and you don't need to have a big sort of government umbrella on it.
Yeah, maybe just to get everybody's fantasy going even further, how we've thought about it is not to revolutionize the idea that, cooperation can be done. Of course, it can be done, and it's already happening. So, but more to, you mentioned these bridges, just to make those bridges visible to ourselves. Even if I'm a newcomer in the ecosystem, I don't know how to turn to a Finnish partner. I just have absolutely no idea. And even from the investors' point of view, they want to see, let's say I have a pan-Nordic Baltic strategy. How do I best see the whole ecosystem? How do I see the whole pool of where I could invest? So to make it let's say those bridges visible to ourselves, to the outside, the whole globe, basically. And then also take initiatives really to take those cross-border programs. And even sometimes they already exist, but we should maybe just highlight them or maybe label them. This is a Nordic Tech Valley thing. This is a cross-border thing. You get more resource, more brain power pulled into this one, or maybe more diverse backgrounds. So, and another thing which we could all benefit from, I think, is a lot of these sandbox ideas. Instead of testing something in our country or yours, we could just agree that, let's say, there's one cross-border huge sandbox where we can all benefit and bring our ideas. So any regulatory stuff as well. And of course, in the future, why not a cross-border huge Nordic Baltic fund? I mean, at least here in Estonia, we have absolutely no certainty how the next generation of VC private equity market is going to look. So maybe just to keep our successful scale-ups in the region longer, just to create more value here. So that's maybe food for thought.
Yeah, thanks. I think, Eva, you showed the drive that we bring as a kind of thirsty and hungry company to this Nordic view. But maybe there's this one additional question what comes around it, every change. How do we actually achieve this change in community ownership? We are always used to think for ourselves, right? Estonia for Estonia, Singapore. Now if we want to actually, in practice, achieve this kind of thinking together approach, do you have any suggestions? What is a good way to move towards that?
I talk about orchestration, and I believe that you need some kind of neutral platform where someone is facilitating or running the orchestra, to saying this is where you play, this is where you play. And I see similarities of the innovation hub that we've established together with the industry, because it was Volvo coming together with Polestar and Ericsson, and they all wanted to do their things in their own culture. And we said, no. When you step into the door of Mobility X Lab, we think together. This is how we act together, and we're the orchestrator of that, saying let's do this together, and then we're also the interface between the corporates and the startups. So we're being the orchestrator, making sure this is a new way of working, a faster way of working, and a place where we work in collaboration with each other. And that model can be applied to this initiative as well. So that's why I speak about the orchestration. Mm-hmm. Or if you find it better, the personal trainer. You bought a membership to the gym, but you need a personal trainer to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Maybe if I may add, I think it's, even though I'm working with researchers coming from the academia, and things like branding or narrative are not necessarily so familiar to them, but it's also about branding our region. We're together, the new Nordics, Baltics and Scandinavia and Finland, we're 40 million people. We are a source of a lot of great research pockets, and that is something that's interesting. If you think about the serious international capital, are they interested only in Estonia, only in Finland, or maybe not? But we talk about this region more broadly and act in a credible manner. I think we can really leverage the sort of capital absorption here.
We're on it already.
If I may add also, I think along with Katarina and Matt, my role is also in Singapore, the orchestrator. So as an alliance, I think what we can do for the ecosystem is really, like you mentioned, providing that one-stop shop. And how we can make it work is really not just in name, but give everybody a piece of the pie, give everybody skin in the game. So when we bring in a research partner, they commercialize their technologies through us, they get royalties, licensing, and we invite a corporate to participate in these programs that we run, and the corporates in return get a stake in the venture, or they can go to market the venture, depending on the situation. And of course, for the founders themselves, they get the largest share of the pie so that they can go out and continue to raise private financing.
Maybe in addition, something else, that cooperation we know happens when both sides or all the sides get their KPIs achieved or their goals. So if we find those goals that each of us have and the cooperation helps us achieve them in a better way or in a faster way, in more efficient ways, so I think that is reason enough. So it doesn't need to be sort of forced upon anyone. So there are, I'm sure, a lot of community participants who don't need to know anything about this initiative, and that's fine. So, yeah.
Sorry. Oops. Yeah, it's also about finding, maybe with a bit of luck, the right parties who are similar-minded, even they don't have exactly the same position as you. For instance, like in Estonia, Unitar2 Ventures has been a great example. Very easy for a sort of research-oriented VC to go in, and because they know their stuff, really.
Yeah, thanks for highly, I would say, practical advice. And I have this luxury to now ask one question from audience as well. And I believe you've already touched on it, but still maybe you can add a comment. So many deep tech innovations are highly niche, often resulting in longer commercialization timeline. We've touched on that. How can we attract VCs to invest with the patience required for such technology? So I think Matti can start off, because this is your area of expertise.
Right. First of all, that's true. You need to be ambitious and you need to be patient. And many of the things, if you look at our, say, life sciences cases, they are more in the sort of end of the 10-year period of our fund when we expect to have the exit. And that's a reality. It's not a 3-year game for all of them. So it is an attitude, really. You're there for the long haul. At the same time, I have to say that there are exceptions. A year ago, I'm sort of like a commercial advisor in a sort of team which is researching University of Helsinki brain organoids, and they're already working with a major Central European biotech company. So what happened last year is a group of US company managers came in, and they were setting up their R&D in Cambridge in Europe, and they walked into the room and said that we want to buy you for 5 million and come and be the core of our hub at Cambridge. And we sort of said to them, actually, the company doesn't exist yet. It hasn't been spun out. It's nice that you're offering 5 million. So there was an exit already there before the company was set up. So it's not always that the research takes ages. It would have been crazy to sell them. They're going to have a great future ahead of these guys, but it's not always the long game. Sorry about the...
Does anyone else have a comment? Or?
No, I just wanted to mention that things are actually changing. So compared to 10 years ago, the proportion of the whole amount of investments that is going into startups now has come from, 15 to 45 in 2023 in Europe. So Europe is actually on the good path, where we could be faster, of course. We could, use our brains, in a better way. But it's happening. So.
Yeah. So I feel like we just heated up, and the monitor shows us that our time for discussion is starting to end. So in that note, often in panels, when you kind of go down, you remember something, oh, I would have liked to said that. So do you have anything like that? Do you have any last words to kind of sum up this discussion here?
I just want to say any deep tech startups or any startups who wants to collaborate with the automotive and transportation industry, welcome to talk to me.
Yes.
My call to action. I'm looking for technologies from Estonian research institutions that we can commercialize, and together we can build these into companies from Singapore, global companies.
If you have something really complex that traditional VCs are a little bit scared of, come and talk to us.
The new slogan of Startup Estonia is let's start something. So let's start something.
All right. So a round of applause to our panelists, please. And before we end, the others can leave, but we have this kind of special moment here on the stage happening now. Clara will stay on, and Liina-Maria Lepik from Estonian Enterprise will join her, and Liina will explain the rest. So rest of us can leave the stage, and stage is yours.